slide deck after this webinar.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rihanna, and I'm a member of our senior fixed income desk here at Bloomberg. I support client inquiries on a daily basis. So if you were to come into the help desk and ask a fixed income related function, chances are you may have had me assisting you. So this morning, like Steve had hinted at earlier, we are going to walk through an entire fixed income workflow. So we're going to start with some macro level analysis, so getting trends in the market and observing different rates, and then walk through how to do company research and industry level research. And then as we go through, we'll get narrowed down to specific security analysis and relative value related functions. I'm going to pass off to my colleague Sage now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Sage, and I also work here at Bloomberg on their senior fixed income team. I also am part of the fixed income help desk. So today, like Rihanna said, we're just going to start off at more of a high level and then go into more of a custom workflow. So just want to start off here. We can begin by talking about some of our different market monitoring functions. You may be familiar with some of these. We just want to give a brief overview of them and make sure that we give some high-level data on what all of the uses are for these screens. So first, we're going to start with BTMM, which is essentially our main page for Treasury and money market securities. So you can see on the screen, we have the option to change the country in the upper left corner. Right now, we have the US selected. And on the screen, we can view different rates that we have, such as LIBOR, SOFR rates, Treasury bills, repo rates, etc. And everything on this page is tickerized if you hover over it. And then on the bottom, you could see we also have more of a news type of related function. So it would be related to economic releases. So if we click into economic releases here, it would actually populate with a brand new function, which is our eco function. So eco is going to be showing you just a calendar of all different types of economic releases from the Federal Reserve in this case, since this is the United States chosen in the upper left corner. You can also adjust the date range in the upper right corner. And we can see here, we have some key events listed. We can also filter this down further if we wanted to search for a more specific economic release. So this would be helpful if you wanted to set up an alert and keep an eye on specific releases for a specific country. So now if we wanted to focus more so on specifically the Federal Reserve, we have a function called FedGo. So this function is where we can see all different types of information that the Federal Reserve releases. We can see specifically the upper bound and lower bound rates, as well as on the bottom there, any news from the Federal Reserve. Additionally, there are forecasts here. So it is just giving you some more color into different functions that we have available from here to show you other information released from the Federal Reserve, such as all of the information on the left-hand side, which we can click into to get some more granularity on that. So another page that we have here is our fixed income trading page. So this is FIT, F-I-T. And essentially what we can do here is we can also adjust the country in the upper left corner. And we can see we have several tabs here where we can look specifically at different Treasury actives, as well as bills, notes, tips, and curves. So something else that is really good to note about this page is that everything on this page is tickerized and it updates real time. So you're always able to see updating prices, and you can click into each of these tickers in order to get further data and analyze the specific ticker available on this page. Another page we have, which is also great for monitoring the market of different countries, would be our World Bond Market page, WB. So something interesting about this page is you can adjust the maturity in the upper left corner. Right now we can see we have a 10-year maturity, so you could see that all of the securities here mature in about 10 years, around 2031 to 2032, and we're able to compare, different countries to one another. And we can see in those range bars on the right-hand side, we are able to compare the yield from the past 3 months. As you could see, the date range in the upper right corner. So we could see over the past 3 months what the yield is now compared to that average over the past 3 months. And that date range can be adjusted as well if we wanted to see it for a different date range. So it's just a good page to see how yields have changed over time and compare it to other countries.
So FICM is going to be our fixed income credit monitor screen. What's unique about this screen is that you can select a specific market that you're looking at. So in the upper left-hand corner, we're looking at US as opposed to like Euro securities, and then we're looking in the investment grade tab specifically. So all of those different bond sectors in the middle of this screen where you can see OAS metrics, for instance, are tickerized as well. So you can drag and drop those metrics into the command line to load them and then run other functions like GP. But this function is great because it allows you to spot opportunities within a particular sector by comparing where spreads have tightened or widened across a period of time. And then similar to some of the functions Sage had mentioned, there are links to other functions like at the bottom, this news one, for instance. And then similar to the previous screen, you can also adjust the historical range so you can view where 1 month or 3 month averages are compared to their current values in the upper right. So this is just a screenshot of us clicking into the high yield tab here. So you can see it's a similar format, but this could be useful in the sense that you can compare where the same sector across different rating buckets, so investment grade versus the high yield energy sector in this case, are trading in terms of their OAS, and just view specific trends in the market as well. So FICM can be taken from a high level down to more security specific levels. So in this case, if you clicked on a particular sector, like the energy sector here, we can actually see all of the constituent issuers here that are comprised of that energy sector here. So then we can take a look at their OAS averages across a 10-day period, and you can view related CDS and equity metrics here as well that are associated with that parent ticker. And then we can filter this down further if we click into a specific issuer here. So in this case, we are looking at all of the bonds of this particular issuer, and we can view some of the key metrics on a more security level here. So in this case, we have those range bars again that a lot of our clients like to quickly just look at to visualize relative value functions. And then you can see that the blue dot is representative of the current OAS value, as opposed to that orange diamond icon is going to be the historical average for whatever time period you have set in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And then on the left-hand side of this screenshot, you can see that I had held down the control key and selected multiple graph icons. So once you do that, you'll see a child window appear that looks like this. And what this does is it will allow you to see a regression chart across the selected bonds that you have plotted. So you can make inferences in terms of different maturity and OAS metrics on where certain bonds or new issues may trade. And then on the main tab of FICM or on some of those other ones, we can actually click into some of the spread graphical icons. So then we can actually graph these indices or the sector indices, as well as like the ETFs or CDX indexes into GP. So in this case, we have loaded up a CDX index, high yield 5-year one, and we can actually see if spreads had widened or tightened across a period of time. So all of those tickerized functions related to FICM can actually be plotted in GP or HP, which is useful just to see trends across a period of time.
So another really helpful market surveillance function that we have available is our World CDS Monitor, which is WCDS. As you can see here, just like Rihanna had shown on the last slide, a CDX graphically. In this view, we currently are clicked into a specific CDX investment grade index. What we can see here is we are just viewing all of the single name CDSs in that index, and we can view their spread changes historically. So we can see in the upper right corner, we have that drop down in order to choose how far back historically we want to view the spread changes. So right now we have year to date. Again, we have those range bars where we can view the spread now in that blue circle compared to the average year to date in that orange diamond. Also good to note that up top, we're able to further filter this down by sector, region, rating, etc. We can click into more filters to view some of the options we have here. So if we were to click into one of these CDSs, let's say we click into AT&T. So we can click into AT&T, and here we're able to see the equity ticker for AT&T, the current price of that equity ticker, as well as all of the issuer ratings and the overall bond and loan debt value from AT&T. We're also able to compare that to the single name CDS for that specific ticker. So if we, from there, if we wanted to view a little bit more about some of the debt that we have on WCDS, what we can do is we can click into one of the CDSs, and we are able to right-click into it and have it bring us to a new function in DDIS, which is our debt distribution screen. So this is where you're just going to be able to see the maturity distribution of a specific issuer. So right here we have AT&T. We're able to break it down by debt type. So we can see here we have it broken down by corporates, preferreds, loans, and other different types of entities that AT&T has issued in the past, as well as total debt on the right-hand side, just so we could see this in a chart. So we're able to see where AT&T is allocating their debt. Additionally, if we click into that Edit plus Add criteria in the upper right corner, we are able to view this historically. So as you can see on the bottom graph here, we have it for Q1 2021, and then that top graph would be for today. So you're able to view it on a historical basis in order to see different trends over time on the different debt that AT&T has issued in the past. Okay, so the next slide that we'll be talking about is T-flow. So this is specifically going to be showing you different volume between dealer to client, dealer to affiliate, and dealer to dealer. So you can see different trading opportunities and you can see real-time trace traded volume. So we're able to see here, we have it broken down by sector. In the upper left corner, we are able to choose how we want to view it. So I have it at the moment at sector. So if I wanted to click specifically into one sector, let's say I click into financials. It will populate a new screen, and I'm able to see that in all from trace traded data in the financial sector, which issuer has the most traded volume. So from the screen that I can see over the past month, we can know that from the upper right corner where it states the historical range. I see that Bank of America has the most volume traded out of the rest of the financial sector. We can also view this on a more granular level. If you can click into one of the specific issuers, and from there, you're able to see the specific bonds that are traded more than others. So I could see for these Bank of America bonds, I'm able to note that the bond that is maturing in 2033 has the most traded volume reported over the past month. So it's good to note to see what is driving this volume up for Bank of America.
So now we're going to move on to using indices to gauge market color. So in this case, we're looking at the IN function. What this is going to do is it's going to house specifically all of the Bloomberg fixed income indices that were previously known as the Bloomberg Barclays indices that you may be familiar with. And then we can look at this screen and click into different tabs and subtabs here just to get an idea of what type of parent indices we have, and then subsector indices broken down by different credit ratings or maturity buckets. So if I were to click into this US aggregate index name here, we'll see a pop-up that's going to look like this. So at the top of the screen, you can see that this Lubestrew index is like the US aggregate parent index, and then based off of different quality ratings or maturity buckets here in the ticker column, you can actually see the different subsector or sub-indices here. And then you'll see some key total return metrics across different periodicities here. And what's helpful about this, if you are like a Bloomberg Anywhere user, you can actually run the MEMB function to see the members of the specific indices you're looking at here. A lot of times on the desk, some clients will ask what are the different methodologies here, or if we update some of the indices, where can they see news related to these Bloomberg fixed income ones. Usually we'll guide clients to this INP function, our Index Insights and Publications. And what you can do here is that on the left-hand side, you can select different filters. So Bloomberg fixed income here, just to look at the FI related indices. And then sometimes clients will also select the fact sheet or a different publication type, just depending on what kind of reports or news they're looking at. But all of our Bloomberg methodologies related to these fixed income indices are found here. And this is just a screenshot of the DES page for that particular investment grade index. But what I think about these particular indices compared to maybe some of the different individual securities that makes the DES page useful here would be that we actually have links to different functions, as well as some of the key return metrics that you may be looking for. So I think the DES page of these indices is really useful. You'll have a description at the top. So for this index, we're looking at investment grade USD denominated fixed rate taxable bonds. But then you'll see links to functions like GP or MEM that you can directly source from this screen. So in this case, if we're looking at that GP link here, we're actually able to graph this index and view the field that's shown at the top. So in this case, we're looking at index OAS spread to the Treasury. and we can see how this field has changed over time. Additionally, you can click into that highlighted box under suggested charts and then adjust the field that you're visualizing here. So on the DES page, a lot of those fields on the left-hand side are actually, if you hover over them, you'll see like a white box. So you can actually see the field mnemonic or the field code. So you can actually use those terms to search in that amber box to locate different fields as well.
So now we're going to be specifically focusing on some functions that allow us to analyze ETFs further in the fixed income space. So what we can see here, this is simply our ETF function. And what we're able to see here is we're able to see all of the ETFs that match our specific search criteria. So you're able to select that criteria in the upper left corner. I see here I have the asset class chosen as fixed income, as well as only United States exchange ETFs. In the upper right corner, I'm able to view aggregate fund flow data. So I can see the flow of investments in and out of the funds that are specified by my screening criteria. Additionally, I'm able to see different metrics such as year-to-date return on these specific ETFs, as well as more data into that fund flow on the ETFs rather than just the aggregate in the upper right corner of the screen. So now I'm going to circle back into FICM, which I know that Brianna had touched on earlier, but I do want to note here that in the FICM screen, we are able to see that we have that ETF listed. So right now we are under FICM, the high yield tab. So I'm able to see the associated CDX index, as well as the associated ETF index within this high yield section. So I can see how the spreads here are widening and tightening compared to one another in order for us to compare CDS related data as well as ETF data compared to the overall different bond sectors under that. Additionally, we're able to change that range in the upper right corner. So you can take note of how spreads are tightening and widening over a period of time that you are interested in analyzing.
So now that we have covered some of the money marketing or rate monitoring functions on the terminal, we're going to walk through company-specific and industry-related research. So we're going to start with our CP function, which is company profile. What you can do is you can load a parent equity ticker here. So in this case, we have Verizon loaded, and then you'll see a lot of relevant links that we can click on the left-hand side, broken down by different categories. So we can look at equity-related functions or credit-related functions, etc. But what this does is it's going to house a lot of different function links on this screen, so we can click into them for just like an easy analysis here. So in this case, we're going to analyze if we clicked into the company deal screen, just to show you what it would look like under transactions here. You would be able to see all the specific deals, whether it be equity, debt, or M&A related activity over the last 5 years for this case. So once you have the full list here, you're able to click into them and then analyze each deal. Moving on in terms of research, we have our BI function. This is our Bloomberg intelligence function that's going to provide unbiased research on multiple indices and specific individual companies. Here you can click into a specific industry on that left-hand side and view research and different metrics specific to that industry. So if you were looking at the consumer discretionary industry versus like the energy industry, you're going to see different metrics that are shown here. Whenever you click into a BI article or you're looking at a specific industry, you can view the different analysts that are covering that group. You can also run BI, click into actions, and then select directory to see the full list of analysts as well. So you can feel free to reach out to some of these analysts directly if you have any questions on the research they produced or just questions on specific coverage.
So now we are going to focus on some company-specific functions that we have. So first, the one that we will be talking about here is our cast function. This is going to show you different capital structure of a specific entity. So right now we have Verizon in the upper left corner loaded. And what we can view is the company's capital structure. So you can see where they house their debt, such as are they holding it within bonds? Are they holding it within loans? And we can see here we're able to just further assess the credit risk of the company. Additionally, on the top of the screen, we're able to view the breakdown of the debt in a graphical function here. So we can further analyze where exactly is the parent company breaking down its capital structure. Next, a really helpful function that we have, which is also company specific, is going to be our Rfa function. This is just going to be an overview of all of the reported financial information for a specific company. We can also view this historically. So we can see historically some trends maybe for a specific company within their revenue or other different metrics, as well as some future estimates. Like on this screen, I could see we have 2023 year estimates for some of the metrics here. And this way you can just further dive into a specific company in order to get a better understanding of where it is headed. In Rfa, we are able to find some different documents available for some of the entities that we're looking at. So we have documents to support the data we have reported here. For example, in Verizon, it looks like for their service revenues, we have documents available. So we can see on the bottom of this screen, we are able to further analyze the data directly from the source that it was reported to in order to verify that this data is correct and take a further look into the reported data by the auditor of Verizon. Another function that we have that is useful in the relative value area is RV, which is just our relative value function. So what you can see here is we're able to perform different analyses based on historical performance of that equity ticker. We can also compare it to its sector and industry group as well as sub-industry. And we can further analyze this in order to get some of an idea of the perceived credit risk of the specific ticker compared to some of its comparables here. So we could see we have Verizon listed at the bottom, and under Verizon would be some of Verizon's comparable issuers. So we can compare the market cap, the price change over a specific period of time, and really dive in to see if this is a good example of, richness or cheapness within their sector, how they're performing compared to their other comparables. Next, we have a function that is more of a consensus overview. So that would be EEO. And what we're able to do here is we're just really able to dive into a specific security's earnings and other performance outlooks. So we can see that although we are able to view this historically, we can also see that we have some estimates. So we see those EST columns, as well as on the bottom we have next 4 quarters EST, as well as for the fiscal years in the future, we can see some of the estimates available in the future in order to see where, for example, a metric like operating profit may be heading for a company like Verizon. Another function we have is ANR, which is going to be our Analyst Recommendations function. We can see here that we're able to view specific analysts from different firms who are releasing their recommendations over time. So we are able to see who is bullish or bearish over, for example, Verizon here. We can see those specific analysts. So I could see, for example, Greg P. Miller at Truist Securities. His recommendation is to buy. And he also released a target price of 65. You can then see at the top in the upper left corner, the percent consensus of the amount of analysts that recommend to buy, hold, or sell Verizon as of the date in the upper right corner. In order to see who holds a specific equity ticker or a bond, just to make sure that you are staying on top of who is holding it and who's trading it, you can take a look at the function HDS, so you can identify which holder owns the most securities for a specific entity. You can also view people's different selling positions. So we can see here, for example, that Vanguard is one of the top holders for Verizon. We can also click into Vanguard and further dive into how much they own and what specifically they own from Verizon, if it's the equity ticker or maybe some of their debt. That will bring us into our next slide, which is going to show you specifically the debt holders of Verizon. So yes, we have the equity ticker in the upper left corner, but as for Verizon's bonds, loans, munis, who is holding these? So we could see here, again, Vanguard is holding the most out of the other holders for Verizon. And we can see within the columns how much they're holding, their position, and we can further click into that again in order to see which bonds they're holding to get more of an idea of where these holders are standing and their view on these specific bonds.